What's going on, YouTube Metal Complex here, and today I've got a really cool knife review slash overview to do with you guys. This is the Benchmade Mini Crooked River from the Custom Shop. This was you can't buy these like this. This was built on Benchmade's Custom Shop. That shop offers a number of different models from the Benchmade line, including the Barrage, Mini Barrage, Griptilian, Mini Griptilian, Benchmade Crooked River, large and small, as you're seeing here. And is there something else? I can't remember. Really great idea from Benchmade. You do have to build it if you want it in this configuration or any other color. You'd have to order it from that. The standard version of this knife actually comes in S30V. This has been upgraded to 20CV, and it comes with a satin bolster, if I'm not mistaken, and then a diamond wood with an orange pivot collar. So this is going to be different, but we're going to talk about all the different variants or potential variants of this knife. This knife was a gift from my good buddy Shaker. A lot of you guys know Shaker. He's provided a ton of content for this channel in the form of knives lent to me for review. This knife was actually built and gifted to me for Christmas. Such a wonderful gift. Shaker, I know I keep saying this over and over again on Instagram and everything, but thank you so much. Give this man a follow on Instagram. He's an awesome guy. Let's go ahead and take a measurement of this knife here real quick. Overall length of the Benchmade Mini Crooked River coming in at about 7.8 inches overall. Fantastic overall length. I was always assuming it was either 7.5 or 8 inches. It's right there kind of in between. Blade length you're coming in at, you could call it 3.4 to 3.5, depends on where you're measuring to, the top of the scale or that part of the scale right there. The actual cutting edge, however, is an undisputed 3.25 inches. So really, really great measurements overall in terms of just profile size, things like that. How about some size comparisons up against the Ontario Rat Model 1? Rat 1 coming in at 8.6 inches overall. So you can see the Rat 1's bigger, but to my surprise, the Mini Crooked River not looking super small in comparison to that knife. How about up against the Spyderco PM2? Spyderco PM2 coming in at 8.3 inches overall. Again, a larger knife, like in terms of on-paper stats, but is it just me, or does the Mini Crooked River really not look that mini? How about up against the Benchmade Griptilian, or in this case, the Ritter Hogue? Great size comparison here. Ritter Hogue coming in at 8 inches overall. So there's your difference between these two. I know there's a lot of people like, should I go Mini Crooked River or should I go Griptilian? The Griptilian's going to feel more full in hand. It's a little bit taller, a little bit thicker. The blade is also, I mean, I know this is the Ritter blade, but even on the Griptilian blade, it's going to be a little bit taller, and you have ever so slightly more cutting edge. I know it's looking like a lot more, but truthfully, the difference in cutting edge between these two is like almost identical. It's very, very similar. Slight edge to Griptilian or Ritter Hogue, but there's your size difference between these two. And how about another great size comparison with a knife I think a lot of people are considering up against this guy, the Benchmade Bug Out. Benchmade Bug Out coming in at 7.5 inches overall, so it is a little bit smaller, but again, cutting edge is very similar, extremely similar. I mean, overall length, yeah, Bug Out smaller, it's also thinner. But the Crooked River is a little bit longer. We are going to be doing a battle between the Benchmade Bug Out and Mini Crooked River tomorrow. Tomorrow should be Saturday, so keep an eye out for that. Last but not least, the Spyderco Para 3. Spyderco Para 3 is coming in at 7.5 inches overall. Possibly also a battle between the Mini Crooked River and Para 3 coming in the very near future. How's the action on this guy? The action is phenomenal. Now, I have a local dealer for Benchmade knives. I've been able to go and handle this and a multitude of other models. Here's what I've seen with Benchmade. In the past, they've had an issue with fit and finish. It's kind of like, people have always said, if you order online, you're kind of rolling the dice. If you've got a local shop, you can handle the model you're after and kind of choose one that's kind of, find one that's smooth and that's centered out of box and solid lockup. So I've seen an improvement in quality control for Benchmade overall, I think. I think with older models like the Griptilian, there is still kind of, the ones that I handle in store seem to have some funky things here or there. But the newer models like the Bug Out and the Crooked River here all seem to be, okay. There is definitely a difference between the two knives I have handled out of Benchmade's custom shop and everything else that I've ever handled from Benchmade. And what I mean is, the large Crooked River that I reviewed on this channel had absolutely flawless fit and finish, perfect action. It was dead centered, and it's exactly the same thing here. This is very smooth. It fell shut out of box. I needed to make no adjustments. It is perfectly centered, and it locks up solid, you know? So I have to assume, I know it's only 2 knives that are giving me that impression, but I have to assume that there's a little bit more attention to the fitment and everything, you know, if you order something from the custom shop. Even the actual cutting bevel is perfect all the way down to the tip. I mean, it's just perfect. So maybe that's the case. Maybe the extra money, because let me tell you, you built something on their custom shop, it's going to cost you a little bit more money than competitive materials out there on the market. But maybe that's that, and of course the warranty. Benchmade has an excellent warranty. It's pretty much worth it. Their additional, you know, the pricing. A lot of people say, oh, Benchmade's cost so much more money. The additional pricing, I think, in terms of a Benchmade knife, is worth it just for their warranty. On top of course, the amazing product you get, but the extra money that you're going to pay on top of that for having a custom knife built out of their custom shop, it seems like you're getting a perfectly tuned knife. Now, of course, that makes me want to say, hey, Benchmade, can we get that same level of quality for everything in your line? That would be really nice. But I don't know. I'm sure there's a lot more to it than that. I just wanted to give you guys my thoughts. Let's go ahead and weigh it. So this knife is, of course, the small version. So you're looking at, let's say blade stock thickness is probably the Benchmade standard of 120 thousandths. Can we zero out? No, we're wanting to get a little bit more in there. Okay, so stock thickness, that can't be right. Let's try again. It's trying to come in a little bit lower. It's almost about 115 thousandths. Maybe that's the case. About 115 thousandths or so there. So not a thick blade, not an overly massive blade, not an overly massive profile. We're going to talk about that here in a second. And then we do have steel liners that there is some slight milling going on the inside there. So not a lot of knife here. Overall weight coming in at just under 3.5 ounces, almost exactly an ounce an inch in terms of the blade. So that's going to make a lot of people happy. I have no issue with that, especially considering the carry profile in Sky is just wonderful. Here it is up against 2 knives that have, in my opinion, awkward carry profiles, and nobody seems to complain about them. It's got the Para 3 and PM2 beat completely in terms of height, in terms of thickness. Did we talk about this already? It's ever so slightly thinner than the Para 3, though keep in mind there is some contouring going on in the scales, so there is a rise in the scales back here. But yeah, just in terms of height and you know, weight and all that stuff, this has just got a fantastic carry profile. Moving on here, let's take a look at the blade. This is a beautiful and very functional clip point blade. Let me wipe my fingerprints off of that. Goodness. We've got vertical grind lines there on the flat, and then we have tumbling down here on the bevel, and more tumbling up there on the swedge. Sort of a casual drop down to the tip, not so aggressive like what you see on like a typical Bowie clip point. It's just a nice EDC style blade. It does get fairly thin down there behind the edge. Not going to be doing surgery on any grapes, but fantastic for EDC. I carried this all day. Christmas Day, went through zip ties, went through cardboard, went to, you know, stuff that you do with a knife, and it just had no problem with any of it. You do have a very capable puncture style tip. Now this isn't going to be the most durable tip in the world, so obviously no prying or anything like that with your folding knives, but if you find yourself in a situation where you don't have a choice, be cognizant of that tip. It's not super, I mean, clip point blades are not notoriously strong at the tip, and this one's also fairly thin stock. Not a lot of material right here, so be cognizant of that. No, you know, all these corners have been knocked down. This is all, you know, none of this is sharp. I found that to be the case with Benchmade's newer tumbled blades. They're just excellent, no problem. Thumb stud is a little bit in the cutting path. So if you're cutting straight down, you are going to run something into that thumb stud. But if you're doing more of a curved slicing motion, not going to be a problem. I really didn't have an issue with that all day on Christmas. You know, a lot of the cuts that I was doing, I was pushing in with the tip and cutting this way. There was some cardboard. There was some, you know how you get under zip ties and you sort of curve and lift, you sort of curve the blade and lift up. That's putting a little bit of extra stress on the tip, but no issues there. No issues whatsoever. This knife is just Oh, it's such a nice size, such a great EDC cutting tool, just fantastic. Let's take a look at the bolsters here. These, of course, are black. Like I said, you do have the option on the custom shop of making them satin. You can see they are ever so slightly tumbled, not anything crazy there. We do have black hardware on this guy, so the screw for the stop pin back there is black, but again, you have the choice between black or satin hardware. This axis lock is black. All of these edges here have been nicely knocked down. There is slight contouring on these scales, and that's wonderful. It feels very nice, very premium in hand. This one has a blue pivot color, which just looks great up against that black, and then the contrast with the satin blade. Awesome. I've seen people build these in with the black DLC coated blade. I mean, the combinations are virtually endless. Technically, there is an end to them, but considering you can change out the color of bolster, color of hardware, the color of the pivot collar, the color of the G10, the color of the backspacer, and then you've got a couple of different choices for the pocket clip, different steels, and DLC coated or not. I mean, this is the best. In my opinion, this knife is the most fun to play around with on their custom shop. I've built so many different Crooked Rivers just for fun, and you can add like personalized graphics to the blade, you know, personalized laser stuff. They've got patterns, things like that. You can also add Damasteel if you want. I mean, the different steel choices are, I mean, standard's S30V, and then I think you can get D2, 20CV, S90V, M4, and Damasteel. All of those choices are roughly, you know, between $200 and $200 on the end build. If you want Damasteel, it's going to be over $400, and believe me, I have been tempted before. But yeah, it's there if you want it. So that's really cool. You can see the G10 has kind of a wood grain look to it. That's really nice. I like that. It's very smooth. In my opinion, you don't need any texturing on this knife. The lines are perfect. I mean, ergonomically, it just is exactly right. Initially with the mini Crooked River, I was like, I don't want anything mini because I can't get my hands all the way around it. Then I handled it in shot. Now I wear an XL glove. You guys know how gloves work, right? XL in a glove, that doesn't really mean much, right? If you wear a 2XL glove, you know, then you might have some of your palm hanging off the end. But you can see here, XL glove, that's about where I end up. Just a perfect, I mean, that's where my hand is. I can get the entire thing in there. I feel very locked in. Some jimping back here. I don't really feel like I need some up here, but it would have been nice to have some up here. I don't really need it. It's got some functional jimping back here, but just excellent. Excellent ergonomics all the way around. You've got the Chicago screws here on the front. Of course, the adjustment heads are back here. You do have a separate position for the clip here. Considering this is an axis lock, means it's a fully ambidextrous knife with the ability to mount the clip on the other side for left-handed people. So lefties rejoice. That's awesome. You have a nice large lanyard oval for those of you who enjoy lanyards. And then we have this perfect gear pattern backspacer that is also G10. Love that. These can be a whole bunch of different colors, so you guys can have fun with that if you're going to build one for yourself. This has black liners that have been kind of tumbled as well. I like how these look. I think Shaker did a good job considering all the colors here. I mean, this is, if I was going for blue, this is exactly how I would have done this. Exactly. And I'm really happy that he went with blue. I had no idea how much I'd like it. You can see the liners are full. They go all the way out to the lips. There is some milling there on the inside. So in terms of structural integrity, this knife does give you that feeling of, you know, the right amount of heft to give you that indescribable feeling of, oh, this is quality, right? It's kind of like the issue that I had with the standard Benchmade bug out. Those FRN scales do not give me any sense of, oh, this is a durable tool. I understand that FRN is plenty durable. It's just I can't help what my brain thinks when I handle an object, and the Mini Crooked River gives me a much better feeling of structural integrity, so I like that. I don't think this is the standard clip on the Crooked River. I could be wrong. This is actually the exact same clip that comes standard on the bug out. I want to say it's actually this clip that comes on this guy standard. I could be wrong. I love this clip because it's so short. It actually does not create a hot spot. I mean, my pinky almost rests, or I'm sorry, not my pinky, this finger almost rests perfectly inside that groove on the pocket clip, and it just sort of curves around my finger. It does not dig into my hand, and it's excellent. This is a great clip. It does truly carry deep, and that's awesome. Screws are not recessed, so some people might fight that pocket clip a little bit. Depends on what you're wearing. In my experience, this knife is great in sweatpants, which is what I was wearing Christmas morning. It's probably going to be okay in, you know, like an athletic shorts or something like that. Jeans, khakis, whatever, yeah, you're good to go. This knife carries great, carries nice and deep, doesn't take up a lot of room. There's no flipper tab or anything like that. I mean, it's just fantastic. I'm just really, really happy with carry profile here. This knife did come, like I said, perfectly centered. It is very smooth, and it does lock up solid. No play up, down, left, or right. It's just excellent. This entire knife is just built in a way that's fantastic. I will point out here, let's go ahead and, I forgot to do my thing, right? Get out my handy dandy WIA bit selector and of course my WIA magnetic driver. Two knives that are, or not knives, two objects that are fantastic and very inexpensive, very good for knife maintenance at home. You can find links to each of these guys down in the description, as well as a lot of the knives that I show and talk about every day on my channel, whether they are more expensive or more of the budget variety. There is a ton of stuff down there in my description, a lot of my favorite budget knives of all time, as well as some of my favorite higher end production knives. There's EDC stuff. Whatever your itch is, feel free to scratch it with my description. Anyways, I'm going to guess, like many Benchmades, that the actual pivot is a T9. Let's go ahead and try that here real quick. I have not, like I said, I had no need to adjust this thing out of box, so I don't know. Yeah, that feels like a T9. It actually might, I'm going to try a T10 just to see. Let's try this here. Yeah, it's a T10. So the pivot is actually a T10. That's great. Love that. Don't have to worry about durability on the pivot for sure. And then I am 99.9% sure that the body screws are going to be a T6. I don't like T6. Benchmade loves T6. I'm pretty sure is there a Benchmade that doesn't have T6 body screws? I don't know. That's one of my only negatives with this knife. The body screws are T6. Guys, other than that, this is perfect. This is a perfect knife. I would say, you know, the downside for a lot of people is, you know, really it's the only issues at all is the thumb stud's slightly in the cutting path, and it's got some T6 body screws. You know, a lot of people might make an argument and say, well, you know, it's an axis lock. You got to consider that. There are a fair amount of extra parts on this, considering both bolsters. You know, I don't think so. Disassembly on this guy should be pretty easy. Another massive benefit, as is the case with a lot of Benchmade knives, is that the internal hardware on the pivot is phosphor bronze. That's awesome. In my opinion, a knife like this that you would actually go out and use, which I plan to do with this guy and have been doing with it, that's going to be a better setup than bearings because the debris can't get in there, or not as easily as with bearings. So that's great. This is a very dependable, almost perfectly sized knife. Like, I can't emphasize that enough. This is, I mean, unless you have massive hands, this knife is so perfectly shaped. It's so easy to manipulate in terms of like a slow opening with a thumb stud. You want to do the reverse flick. You want to do the forward flick. I mean, this just feels like an extension of my hand. It's awesome. I love this knife. It is absolutely going in my primary carry rotation. I definitely can recommend this knife. The biggest issue for a lot of people is going to be the price. On the standard version, you're looking at $190. Here's this is my honest thoughts on this. If you're going to go for this knife, build one in the custom shop. I don't want to pay $191 for diamond wood, an aluminum bolster, and S30V. Would I pay $250 to get the steel I want and the look I want on the custom shop? Absolutely. 100% I would. Even if competitive materials out there cost less, I'm okay with that because I'm getting Benchmade's warranty, I'm getting a USA made product, and I'm getting what I want, one for me. I got lucky, Shaker built me one that I actually do like, and after seeing it and handling, I would build this for myself again. This is amazing. I can recommend this knife 1,000 times over. Love this. I honestly think, I think this is one of the best carry profile knives. This is one of the best EDC knives that I've ever handled. I'm really happy to add this to my rotation. So Shaker, again, thank you. This is going to go on my most recommended knives playlist, and it's going to go on my favorite knives of all time playlist. Guys, that's going to be pretty much it for today's overview and review of the Benchmade Mini Crooked River. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on this Metal Complex logo right here and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.